So long, my friends, I'll see you again. It pains me to be here without Lynn. My time has come, mine so cumbersome, filled with whiskey, filled with sin, trampled down, this storm surround. Time to leave this broken town. So long, my folks, how the story goes. I can't look back from moving on. I'll take my time, saying my goodbyes. I'm reminded of the times my father cried. I flew just like a bottle gracefully to the dirt beneath, trampled down, this storm's around. It's time to leave. It's time to leave this broken town. I'll take this road, however far it goes, and I'll drown my woes in every bar it holds. This bitter end left a bitter man. My sweetness left last summer's end. I flew just like a bottle gracefully to the dirt beneath, trampled down, this storm surround. Time to leave this broken town, trampled down, this storm surround. Time to leave. Time to leave. Time to leave this broken town. Time to leave this broken town. Time to leave this broken town.
Sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Caught Up is an echo chamber for content creators. Almost all content on this show, Caught Up, is created by citizen journalists. I share content created by citizen journalists whom I believe to be the best at finding facts buried deep into the abyss, or outlets whom I believe to be the best for verifiable information. We have to operate within their system, and we only have the information they allow us to have. These individuals who nerd out on fact-finding missions and then add their opinion to better inform me, to make the best choice for me, in this war of narratives is Resolute. This information war is a battle for your mind and ultimately compliance. Mainstream media would have you believe that an echo chamber promotes the spread of misleading information or fake news, thereby reinforcing one's confirmation bias. So, I am excited to share the content in hopes you will turn off mainstream media, whom I believe is just another version of entertainment. So again, welcome to Caught Up.
All right, guys, welcome to Caught Up. It's episode 57, I believe, and it's another test. I'm only doing this to make sure that all things are working as it is supposed to. I'm in a new location. I said that last week. It's been a week, and tonight's Sunday. It's not a normal night for me, a normal show night anyway. Usually that's a Tuesday and a Friday, and we may mix it up. I'm going to get back to the Tuesday show for sure, and then I don't know about Friday. I'll get it figured out though, because the part that's got me bothered at the moment is my internet speed. When I look down here at my laptop, it shows drop frames, and it also shows that I'm at 60 frames per second, and some other things that I'm not exactly that I understand. So, but hopefully we get the bugs fixed, if there's even any bugs. And but tonight I'm on Rumble and YouTube. And I was wanting to see if YouTube lags a little bit, because usually I'm on Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook. But I don't know. I don't know if this thing can push all three at the same time. If it can't, then we're gonna have to figure it out. Because where I was at before, I didn't have any issues live streaming with my podcast, and I don't want to have those issues now. So. Sort of a blackout at the moment. I kind of like that. Maybe I can keep it that way. I don't know. It is what it is. And but eventually I'll get some stuff on the walls and some things on the floor, so there's not quite such an echo at the moment. But anyway, I want to talk about a couple things this evening. Not a long show, kind of short, because it's just a repeat of what's I already talked about in the previous show, 56, which was about that final report from Congress over COVID. And it's not anywhere in the mainstream media. I go to work and talk to people, and they look at me like I'm just, I don't want to let something go, and that's not at all what I'm trying to do or accomplish. I don't get why this 557-page report is not on if it got any, I don't know, if it got any type of exposure whatsoever on any of the mainstream media, the ABCs, the NBCs, CBSs, the CNNs, NBCs, the Foxes. It was very, very little, minimal at most. And it drives me bananas, because when, like I said, I go to work and have you guys heard about the 557 final report? Of course, no one's going to be in trouble. And then when you explain to them a little bit in detail about what it is, you get these looks like you're crazy. And the reason you're getting these looks like you're crazy is because it's not on those channels that I just said. It's not even on X. It's probably not on Truth. It's or Facebook even. It's just not being talked about, and I don't understand that. This thing was a global level, not just an American soil level. This thing was a global level on so many levels, and the things that they did, the narratives that they pushed. I don't know about you, but when I shut the news off, like for real, I would tell everybody I don't watch the news. But then when 2020 came along, I was one of them guys that turned back on, the Today Show in the mornings. My background is my grandfather owned an advertising agency up in northern Michigan. And from the time I was, a little boy all the way up until a certain age, when my father passed away, I did a ton of, radio and TV commercials. Just what the normal things that you would do. Runaway teen, those kinds of things. You know what I'm saying? And because my grandfather owned the agency, I sort of had a leg up in it, and a few of our other cousins who happened to be good at it, and so. NBC was a part of our family, so to speak. They got up and watched the Today Show, the Willard Scotts, and the Bryant Gumbels, and the Jane Pauleys. If you go back that far, which would show my age, and I was a little boy at the time when those people were on, so we watched it, and so when 2020 hit and COVID hit, they the number count on it would be like right here, not death count there, but cases, like people that were tested positive for COVID, and then like down here on the little ticker, it would tell you how many died in what state, and then our nation as a whole, and then countries. It ran across there for I want to say months, probably. Me and my wife, our family, and we turned it on every day. I went home for a month from work, and to flatten the curve, and at that time we didn't understand anything about it yet, and so we played by the rules, and not so much because we were trying to give up our constitutional freedoms or anything like that, or we were complying. It was because something obviously was going on, apparently, and it was a narrative, and it was front and center on the TV, and we had to learn to decipher what was real and what was not real, and it took some time, and being cautious, like siding on the air of cautious, was probably not a bad thing to do in the very beginning until you could figure out what was going on, and then eventually you understood that, or at least I did, and people like-minded like me, and that kind of stuff started to see the writing on the wall that they had weaponized the flu, and they used the mainstream media and social media, commercialism and corporatism, if I'm saying that correctly, as a way to pull at your heart and your minds and make you think, your family. I heard that so much, man. Think of our grandkids and our sons and our daughters and our grandparents, if they were alive. I don't have any live parents or grandparents. I have a stepdad and stepmother who are still here. But beyond that, I don't have immediate mom, dad, grandpa, grandma on either side of my parents who are alive, and I'm 50. And so, but I had grandkids and had, sons and daughters, and had a very, very sick daughter. One day I'll share that. I know I say that, but yeah. But anyway, we were just trying to err on the side of caution. So, and we did. We watched, we watched all this stuff, and then the so-called vaccine, and all of a sudden, masks and social distancing, and these heads of these agencies that are, they're not, quite frankly, they're not voted in by you or me. They're placed into position by people that claim to be voted in by you or me, and it doesn't work. And they blatantly lied. And so this 557 page, the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic, Chairman Brad Winstra, if I'm saying his name right, and it's the final report. And I went through this. So it says Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic, Committee on Oversight and Accountability. Now, see, it says oversight and accountability, but none of these people are going to be held accountable, not Fauci or Bricks or Joe Biden or anyone in that administration. Their press secretaries, their chief of staffs, the NIH, the CDC, the FDA. I would love to be able to tell you and try to convince you that we're going to see some of these people, be punished, and it's not going to happen the way that you and I would like to see those things happen. So it's the final report, and so let's go to it real quick, or I will take you to that real quick. How about that, right? And let me make sure that my internet has caught up with me. I will take you to that real quick. Here we go. And so far, so good. Those who are watching, if you would, give a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and there's just a few that are on here live, probably nobody on YouTube, and that's okay. I didn't do this to gain some huge following and all that, and probably never will. I did this so that I could share the information from those like-minded. So if you watch the intro video, it explains everything. So yes, so here we go, guys. Again, December 4th, 2024 is when this thing came out, and it goes through everything. So when Congress is asking questions, or who is it? The U.S. House of Representatives, who these select subcommittee people are. They ask questions, and these people are under oath, and so they give an answer while they're under oath, and then when they come outside of that room, then when they're asked something before a camera, major news media outlet and all that, then they say what they want to say, and they're not held accountable for it. But under this type of subcommittee, if I'm correct in saying it, they are under oath, under penalty of perjury. So if they lie and they're caught in a lie, supposedly they can be something, whatever that may or may not be. I don't know. So, guys, there's also a live chat. So if you have any questions, hey, look at there, man. Real Ed Reno. Good evening, brother. Dude, am I coming through pretty clear? Am I lagging? Are you having any issues with buffering or anything like that? Because I'm at a new permanent location in East Tennessee, Ed, and I'm on Spectrum high-speed 1 gig internet, and if it's not working, brother, I need to know, so let me know. But good to see you in the live chat, man. Good to see you in the live chat. So, all right, so it says right here, Congress of the United States, House of Representatives, Select Subcommittee of the Coronavirus Pandemic. It gives an address, and then the majority and the minority. Apparently that must be a phone number or something. But it says, Dear colleagues, it has been my distinct pleasure to lead the Select Subcommittee of the Coronavirus Pandemic for the 118th Congress. I was honored to be entrusted with a great responsibility to investigate a once in 100-year pandemic and to prepare Americans for next time. Do you believe that? They're saying next time. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me, guys. I mean, and there will be a next time. This is a responsibility I took very seriously, and I believe that seriousness and teamwork has translated to much success. Good. Thank you, Ed. Glad it sounds good. 5 years ago, on December 1st, 2019, was what eventually be the first confirmed case of COVID-19. Remember, guys, I have an East Tennessee education. After that, a pandemic devastated the world at nearly never before seen proportions, leaving millions dead and millions more concerned about long-term consequences. Now, guys, I'm reading this, and as you all know, we only have the information that they allow us to have. And again, this is the 118th Congress, and this is behind closed doors, supposedly under oath, and consequences for lying. And yet, they say all these things, but in the opening statement, he also says a pandemic that devastated the world at nearly never before seen proportions, leaving millions dead and millions more concerned about the long-term consequences. But in this report, it outlines about how all of it was a lie. An absolute lie. Exactly, proof of pre-planning. COVID-19 was novel. The brightest scientists and medical experts were learning on the job to determine how to treat both the underlying disease and the second order side effects. Now, let me tell you guys something. The Nuremberg trials, those Nazis, those scientists fall under the exact same statement as this. The brightest scientists and medical experts were learning on the job to determine how to treat the underlying disease and the second order side effects. When you are the one creating that, obviously you'll be learning on the job, because once it's spread out there to the public, well then things take a different twist. So, since February 2023, the Select Subcommittee sought to produce a full action report to provide a roadmap of how we, in Congress, the executive, and the private sector may better prepare for and respond to future pandemics. Throughout this process, the Select Subcommittee sent more than 100 investigative letters, conducted 38 transcribed interviews or depositions, held 25 hearings or meetings, and reviewed more than 1 million pages of documents from dozens of custodians. This work looks back on many events, comments, guidances, and other actions to look forward. This is the single most thorough review of the pandemic conducted to date. So what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, as Ed Reno, the real Ed Reno, quite eloquently said in the live chat, is proof of pre-planning. Event 201, and if you go there, they've already coordinated more events. And if you've seen War Games, I believe it's on Amazon Prime. You have to purchase it. And what is it again? It's a think tank of people, and they use actual, real people, like from institutions and agencies within the government, and they war game out a theory of what might happen. Excuse me. At the inauguration in 2024. It's pretty cool. If you hadn't seen it, it's definitely pretty cool. So again, this report in the very beginning, as they outline what's happened in the 557 pages here, they begin to tell a story that they absolutely debunk within the article or within the report. So we'll get back to it real quick. And again, folks, my biggest complaint is it's not anywhere on mainstream media. You like the look, brother? You like the sort of dark mode that's going on right there, man? Once I get some, because it's an office / spare bedroom. You know what I mean? So, once I get some material to put on the wall behind me, because I got a sweatshirt that's hanging on the wall that says "Don't tread on me," and then a people on the porch hat, and then of course I got "We the People Are Pissed Off" hat on at the moment. But man, I appreciate that, Ed. So, all right, most of you know me. You know I strive to work collegially. Now, I'm speaking for what's this guy's name, Brad Weinstrup, when he said most of you know me. But same thing for me. Most of you know me. You know I strive to work collegially with our fellow Americans to provide results for all of us. And I can promise you the results that I provide for all of us are probably more factual than the results that they provide for all of us, because out of the 557 pages, do you realize what you got to read through to get to the golden nuggets? But they kind of give us a little bit of an outline, and I'm not going through this whole thing today, maybe someday. But like I said again, the part that makes me angry is the fact that mainstream media, not even X, True Social, Facebook, no one's talking about this, because if it was plastered all over the news, then when I went to work, everybody would be going, Brian, did you hear? Did you see? Man, did you see the report, the final report? Why are we not doing something to these individuals that lied the way that they did to our country and the world? And I would have to agree. So it says, most of you know me. You know I strive to work collegially with our fellow Americans to provide results for all of us. That is the same mentality I brought to my work as chairman of the select subcommittee. It's the same mentality I bring to my show called Up. During a time of intense partisanship, the select subcommittee had bipartisan consensus across multiple topics, and that right there is a big... Everything is bullshit there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Remember, I told you how I feel that Katrina and the response by the feds were an experimental test. I was there and participated. It's real Ed Reno. I mean, this gentleman's a truck driver. He's going cross country all the time, but at this particular time, he's talking about he was doing stuff for FEMA, for the federal government. And one day he's going to stop long enough to get on here and tell a story, because people like that. They like that real stuff. Because, see, that's real. That's not fake news, because you have somebody that was there. They saw and witnessed things live in real time, versus somebody like me who is in one location and doesn't have the means or the finances to send out the people to those locations when these things happen, so that it is in real time. So I depend on, guess who? Citizen journalists. And my man, Real Ed Reno, is a citizen journalist. Before this election, before it became a Kamala election, when it was a Biden-Harris thing, he was traveling cross country. And in the time that we were doing this, I think he saw like 5 signs for Biden-Harris. I mean, that's like, that's live citizen journalism there. You know what I mean? We need that. We are the news, ladies and gentlemen. So, let's get into what their topics were. It says the possibility that COVID, and guys, I'm only going to read the 3 pages, and I've already read the first 2, so there's only one more after this. And then, I'm just going to give my opinion, and I'm going to show you some of the outlets in which I like, and let you see that they ain't talking shit about this. The possibility that COVID-19 emerged because of a laboratory or research-related accident is not a conspiracy theory. It is not a conspiracy theory. The possibility that COVID-19 emerged because of a laboratory or research-related accident is not a conspiracy theory. They might as well just tell the truth. That's a fancy way of saying, guess what? It was created in a lab. Not my words, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 118th Congress. EcoHealth Alliance, Inc., and Dr. Peter Daszak should never again receive U.S. taxpayer dollars. I would recommend that you go look into that company and that fucker right there and understand why they would say or make such a statement. Again, we can only operate within the information that they give us. And this is the 557-page report that they gave us with a shit ton of golden nuggets. The EcoHealth Alliance, Inc. Look it up. And Dr. Peter Daszak should never again receive U.S. taxpayer dollars. This is Congress. Congress is supposed to make the laws, correct? Can they not stop something like that? They just said, not me, it's not a conspiracy theory. They just said, let me put it back up here, should never again receive U.S. taxpayer dollars. Ed says, I worked for FEMA transporting and setting up trailers on private land and FEMA camps. Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? FEMA camps. Federal Emergency Management Association. It's a lie. Next, number 3. Scientific messaging must be clear and concise, backed by evidentiary support, and come from trusted messengers such as frontline doctors treating patients, not governors, mayors, and health department officials. They're all reading from a piece of paper. Not your local news agency. Not your favorite little cute chick that's pointing at the weather. No. They're reading a script. That's it. This is scientific messaging must be clear and concise. See, when I say that I'm vaccinated. When I was born, I took whatever those vaccines that my parents allowed them to give to me, and then whatever it took for me to get into school when I turned 5, and then again when you're like 11 or 10 or 12 or something like that. And then after that, yeah, then you have to worry about yourself. If you've had I don't know what they call that, like if you step on a nail, you get that shot to make sure that you don't lose a limb or something like that. I don't disagree with a lot of vaccines. Sort of. I may do a little bit more research on them now. But this one that they gave us, no. And then all the other ones that followed it, they didn't have any real research. It didn't come from real scientists. It did not come from frontline doctors treating patients. No. They suppressed those people. Scientific messaging. Remember it said trust the science. Trust the science. No. If trust the science means trust the NIH, the CDC, the FDA, Eco Health Alliance, Wuhan Lab, any of those other things, no, fuck you. If my employer's telling me I got to take it, like, the dude I work with has he doesn't know any more about a fucking vaccine than I do. But yet he's telling me to keep my job to take it. Fuck you. Sorry about my language. But that's exactly where it needs to go. I'm not doing it. Scientific messaging must be clear and concise, backed by evidentiary. Evidentiary. It's a big word for me. Evidentiary support. And come from trusted messengers such as frontline doctors treating patients. Not like the ones that they arrested right there in front of, was it the Capitol building? or I don't know, the Supreme Court building, whatever the hell it was. Here we go. Number 4, public health officials must work to regain America's trust. Americans want to be educated, not indoctrinated. Holy shit. I mean, I already knew this, understood this already. What's that? 100 years ago, this is from Real Ed Reno again. Before the petrochemical industry took over, the pharmaceutical business people weren't nearly as sick. Medicines makes you sick nowadays, and that's true. Because like I said, I had a daughter that was very sick, and the medicine that she took, the medicine that they gave us, was far deadlier. I don't have a lot of faith in the industry like that. Pharmaceuticals altogether, it's a money-making industry, so it's just another thing that we can prove, where they were Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson and Johnson, and the others, they weren't making the same amount of money on a yearly basis as they were after COVID, and so they had the cure for a disease that didn't exist. Supposedly there's patents on it, so I'm not running my mouth. It's not a conspiracy theory. If you go look it up, you go do any research on your own, you'll see this was patented prior to 2019. It's like 2017, 18, even earlier than that. And I have done show on it somewhere in the beginning. This is show 57, so you'd have to go back all the way to the very beginning and go through that to find out. Real Ed says, I agree, brother. I did and will forever refuse to comply. That's the biggest thing. Our Constitution is set up on that very thing. We're not supposed to comply. Government is not supposed to be bigger than the people. We are not supposed to fear the government. We have it backwards. Media is supposed to be transparent. They are supposed to be the discernment between what's real and what's not real, what your government is doing. And the fact that our government plays games like this and they use the mainstream media to promote the games that they play that are unconstitutional should tell you that we need to do a better job of holding them accountable. And if elections were real, I say that factually, if they were real, then we wouldn't be in the position that we are now. Period. We shouldn't have courses in college called political science. Get your ass out there and work in the public, and then go do some terms within your civil duty, if that's what you so want to do. And then when you're done, you go back and you work in the public again. You don't make careers out of fucking the American people. That's what we have. Career politicians. And that's bullshit. Public health officials must work to regain America's trust. Americans want to be educated, not indoctrinated. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo participated in a medical malpractice and publicly covered up the total number of nursing home fatalities in New York. In addition to these notable bipartisan successes, the Select Subcommittee developed extensive findings, some of which include, and I'll go over them in just a minute, but I would like to finish talking about Governor Cuomo. And not just Cuomo. There's Whitmer and Gavin Newsom, and probably a few more. And I did shows on those very people that did those things. Do you remember that President Trump sent that medical ship? I think it was a Navy medical ship. And then I think it was Samaritan's Purse, Franklin Graham, set up in the New York City Park, if I'm saying that correctly. And those places were hardly used. Why? They tried to make us believe that homeless people were dying by the hundreds. and that nursing homes needed to be doing what they did. And it says he participated in medical malpractice. Do you realize while he did that, he took his mother from the nursing home and put her in his home or his brother's home, whoever's home, family member's home, and made sure she was took care of while he put your family members in that nursing home. And they got sick and died. What's your problem? Yeah. Covered up the total number of nursing home fatalities in New York. I'll be right back. I need to take a brief intermission. All right, guys, thanks. Brief intermission. So, what's that saying? I'm going back out for the week, and I'll come home for Christmas week, and I will for sure come and see you. You need to. Yep, I'm off for a couple weeks as well, all through Christmas, all the way through the beginning of the year. So, Real Ed Reno, come see me, man, because then, hey, if you really did, we could sit down together, maybe pre-record something. I don't know, but yeah, man, that sounds great. I tell you what, hit the like button, guys, if you like what's going on, what you like what you hear in here, or whatever. And then let's get back into this real quick about the Kumo. Just so you know, him and his brother, this is a joint thing here. Well, I know Chris Kumo's doing something new now. He's trying to venture out. You know, he's kind of like saying, I was wrong, but I'm not wrong. Bullshit, you know what I mean? I don't like the Kumos. I don't like a lot of these guys, you know, but just know that Andrew Cuomo, former New York governor, with all he's already going through, this medical malpractice, they did the very things. And I would say Whitmer, Newsom, and a few others out there did the exact same thing. They cooked the books, so to speak, and inflated the numbers to scare the hell out of the public, and they used the media to do so. So let's go on to the next one. In addition to these notable bipartisan successes, the Select Subcommittee developed extensive findings, some of which include, and right here's what I'm talking about, some of these institutions, man, that they need their asses kicked. The U.S. National Institute of Health, the NIH, funded gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And if you go back and look and do some research, you'll realize that that was illegal up until just before Obama left office. In 2016, I think. Changed that. Redirected some things. He also redirected how the media is supposed to operate. And yeah, that kind of thing. And so the Chinese government, agencies within the U.S. government, and some members of the international scientific community sought to cover up facts concerning the origins of the pandemic. This is their words, not mine, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, again, why is this not on mainstream media? Why is it not on NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, PBS, I don't know, the AP, New York Times, Washington Post? Why is this not anywhere? That says the Chinese government, their words, not mine, 118th Congress. If we are to believe, right, we can only operate it within their world. And this is the information that I have been given to share. And so agencies within the U.S. government, that they know this. Agencies within, which agencies are those? The CDC, the FDA, the NIH, and others, right? And some members of the international scientific community sought to cover up facts concerning the origins of the pandemic. They tried to tell you it was a wet market in the beginning. They tried to tell you it came from an animal into a human. And as I said in other episodes, I vaccinated cattle that went to auction so that it could be used as food in the general population of the public. And the shot that we gave them was a 3-part shot. But part of that shot, the third of it, was a COVID shot for cattle, not humans. The only reason they had to give the shot to the cattle, because they were grain fed to begin with, was because that was a requirement in order to sell it on the auction. So, again, it was a government shot given to the cattle to make sure you could sell it, you could auction it off, that a farmer could make his money for it. I did that 20 years ago. What's it say? To cover up facts concerning the origins of the pandemic. It's the flu. They go into detail about how they use SARS, S-A-R-S, SARS. I forget what the first S stands for, but I think it's acute respiratory syndrome 2. I think it's SARS-2, right? There's an epidemiology of that. Like they can show you that. They can't show you what COVID looks like. They can show you what COVID looks like because COVID is called the crown. When you see that little picture, it's got all the spikes on it, the red thing and all the little spikes, because that is what COVID is supposed to look like. But they can't show that you have that. They stick this Q-tip in your nose. For example, I went to the doctor on December 5th or 6th or something like that. I was sick. And while I was sick, they gave me two Q-tip swabs in my nose. One for flu, one for COVID. The exact same thing. The exact same thing. And they took it off to some room. And guess what? I tested positive for flu, but not for COVID. And so they have no origins of the pandemic. As a matter of fact, the Chinese government, the U.S. government, and some members of the international scientific community sought to cover up the origin of the pandemic. And where was the origin? It is the Wuhan lab. And where was the Wuhan lab? In China. And where did all that funding come from? The NIH. And who's over that? Fauci. Operation Warp Speed was a tremendous success and a model to build upon in the future. The vaccines, which are now probably better characterized as therapeutics, undoubtedly save millions of lives by diminishing the likelihood of severe disease and death. This is where, again, they're not telling the truth. That's a lie. Operation Warp Speed was probably fact. And the tremendous success and a model to build upon in the future. The vaccines, they already had these things prior to 2019 in December. It was never a vaccine. They thought that they had something that was going to make them rich, the pharmaceutical companies. But they didn't have a disease to use it on. It says, which are now probably better characterized as therapeutics. So, if we go into what therapeutics versus vaccines are, guess what? When they made those shots mandatory for your child to go to school, nursing homes, your job, many other things, there was already therapeutics out there. Hydrochloroquine, ivermectin, vitamin C and D and zinc. Yeah, those therapeutics were already available. The Zelensky, Dr. Zelensky, he developed a tablet that you would take that would prevent you from ever getting COVID because it didn't exist. It boosted your immune system is what it did. And he used the very things I just described just a minute ago. Those therapeutics that they tried to tell you was a lie. They made it clear that hydrochloroquine and ivermectin and all those things, because when President Trump tried to alert the public on the direction that they might want to go versus the vaccine, the media, the social media, the newspapers, the news outlets, all went against it. All of it, including bleach. Including the bleach. Back to the article. Rampant fraud, waste, and abuse plagued the COVID-19 pandemic response. Rampant fraud, waste, and abuse. That's the motto right there, the very motto of the deep state. Rampant fraud, waste, and abuse. And we fund it, the taxpayers, the U.S. taxpayer, more than any person in the whole world. We fund it. The money that they waste and abuse and the rampant fraud, and it's plagued the COVID-19 pandemic response. It's a lie. It's all bullshit. Pandemic-era school closures will have enduring impact on generations of Americans' children, and the closures were enabled by groups meant to serve those children. The Department of Education, I hope it gets abolished. That McMahon chick, the World Wrestling Federation lady, I hope she destroys it. Disperses it through the wind. The Department of Education is the biggest farce ever. Period. Pandemic-era school closures will have enduring impacts on generations of American children. These people were vacationing when they were making these decisions. They were doing Zooms from the beach. They were being paid handsomely to be away from wherever. Ridiculous. They were going to states in which that were allowing public access because the governors weren't pushing that, while they were leaving the state that they were from, pushing that very thing to make sure that you stayed home. and your children stayed home. And then they tried to push this woke ideology through their laptop services while your kid was in their bedroom. And they tried to tell the parent while the kid was in the bedroom that the parent wasn't allowed to be in there with the child in the home of the child while the teacher was teaching. Is the biggest crock of shit that ever existed. I was so glad my kids were not in school anymore, but I hated the fact that my grandchildren were. And the parents of my grandchildren, they didn't stand as hard as I stood. They tried, and then they complied. And then they tried, and they complied because they were trying to be a good parent. They were trying to give the benefit of the doubt. And it cost them. Have you worked with anybody that had the last 2 years of their high school through the pandemic? They graduated virtually. And then they went on to college for 2 years virtually. Or a year. Have you worked with any of those kids? They're adults now. They're not kids per the age requirement. They're idiots. Absolute idiots. And they are in fear of the sky falling. And in the industry, I'm a carpenter in the contracting trade. I do it all. They fear ladders, overhead stuff. They're afraid. It didn't take but just 2+ years to instill the fear like that. They think they're experts because they want to stand back and tell you how to do it. And they have never done it except virtually or from a book. They're soft. Back to the article. I'm sorry. The Constitution cannot be suspended in times of crisis, and restrictions on freedoms sow distrust in the public health. That right there was the biggest thing I said while I was at work. When they told me I had a deadline to get to, I had to take the vaccine, I had to show my proof of vaccine card, this, that, and the other. Wasn't doing it. Wasn't doing it. And my biggest thing was it doesn't trump the Constitution. You can't make me do that. If I lived in some other country besides the United States of America, then maybe it's a different story. But I live in this country that has the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. They're going to have to fire me. And then I would have got involved in a class action lawsuit, and it would have took a few years or longer, and it would have sucked in the beginning because, no one wants to lose a paycheck. But I would have benefited from it later. Have you seen some of the lawsuits and the money that they're handing out from these hospitals and universities and other corporations that sought to follow the illegal edicts from an unelected guy by the name of Joey and or that motherfucker, the black dude that's over the Department of Defense? He wore multiple masks and a face shield. Isn't that dude military? He's a pussy. The Constitution doesn't get trumped by anything. And I was so glad to be able to stand on that. Last but not least, the prescription cannot be worse than the disease, such as the strict and overly broad lockdowns that led to predictable anguish and avoidable consequences. It's what they wanted. They wanted a civil war. They wanted you to revolt in a way that was kinetic, like from a long time ago. And for the most part, they didn't get it. They did get the Summer of Love, but we all know that's the Antifa and the BLM, Black Lives Matter garbage, woke ideology bullshit that came from uh, uh, Lloyd Austin, Joey Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Shifty Schiff, and then fucks up there that are part of the deep state uniparty that play on agendas and psyops. Psyops. It was a big psyop. And if you go through the report, chairing the select subcommittee for the 118th Congress has been my honor. I said from the beginning this work is the single most impactful responsibility I have undertaken in 12 years in Congress. It has been. This work will help the United States and the world predict the next pandemic, prepare for the next pandemic, protect ourselves from the next pandemic, and hopefully prevent the next pandemic. Members of the 119th Congress should continue and build off this work. There is more information to find and honest action to be taken. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted a distrust in leadership. Trust is earned. Accountability, transparency, honesty, and integrity will regain the trust. A future pandemic requires a whole of America response managed by those without personal benefit or bias. We can always do better, and for the sake of the future generations of Americans, we must. It can be done. And that right there is where they're blowing smoke right up our asses. They're just telling you. They found all these facts where all these people lied, but we're going to do a better job in the future pandemics. Does there have to be a future pandemic? I mean, it seems like they roll around just at the right time. Like one of the most important presidential elections in history. It creates untold amount of ballots. They just ship them out everywhere. And all kinds of other things. So, again, guys, that is called, right here, Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic, After Action Review of the COVID Pandemic, the Lessons Learned and a Path Forward, the Final Report. And I'm going to show you that no one's talking about this. Everyone should have this PDF on their phone. I do. That way when people are asking you and you're bringing it up at work, when they try to look at you like you're dumb, you just pull it out and show it to them. But look, here's the Gateway Pundit. It's one of my favorites. But look, there's nothing. See the feature? Drones, O'Keefe, Liz Cheney. This ABC News employees and media figures lose their mind because Trump scores a massive win in a $15 million legal victory over the network and George Stephanopoulos and how they defamed him. But no COVID. Sheriff defies, no COVID. Senator-elect, no COVID. Reform UK billionaire, tampon Tim Walz gets lit up. And then what is she wearing? We're worried about what this fake first lady's wearing. The New Jersey mayor's talking about hazmat bomb squad if any drones are downed. Steve Bannon talks to this guy named Peter about government overreach. Bernie Sanders justifies United Healthcare CEO assassination. Can you believe that? Where's the COVID? National Border Patrol Council around Trump DHS nominee Kristi Noem, a leader who knows how to get things done. Where's the COVID? Judicial Watch, FOIA bombshell, no COVID. The messy Syrian conflict. The Yellow Ribbon Campaign for Tina Peters. Adam Schiff cries about Trump pardoning January 6 protesters. Why? Because Biden's talking about pardoning him. Right? Look here. Mayorkas makes an outrageous statement about the fucking drones. Lisa Murkowski panic over accountability to voters for blocking Trump's cabinet picks. Dismantling lies. Report finds Hamas. Consumer Price Index, CPI. Disgraced Prime Prince Andrew invited Chinese spy. I mean, look. Intel closes embassy in Dublin. Again, Adam Schiff. Legendary comedian Chris Rock roasts woke liberals. Look here. Trump and union workers. Carter says he's not coming to the inauguration. He's 100 years old. Gives a fuck. The great big drone psyop. These things in the sky, man. No one's talking about the 557 pages of the COVID cover-up. None of it. That's Gateway. Here's Epoch Times. Look here. The Epoch Times. Feds have limited authority to shoot down drones. Federal officials deploy high-tech system for drones. Systematic kill chain. Have Canadians become less generous? ABC News. George Stephanopoulos pays $15 million to the Trump defamation lawsuit because they lied. They said he was one thing. Grinnell Nunes among weekend appointments for Trump's second term. This is Epoch Times, ladies and gentlemen, and there is nothing about the 557-page final report on how they lied about COVID. Look, infertility, 5 main causes. The fucking shot you took that they gave you. The new CDC, FDA, and NIH nominees. Where do they stand on key health issues? No one's talking COVID. Not even RFK. Trump might tackle gender ideology. Religions in schools makes comeback. Video games have become rife with DEI. RFK Jr.'s food fight. Realtors, Biden establishments, censorship, post-U.S. election CCP intensifies. Family members say wards of state lost rights and assets to guardianship. How Trump, Biden, pardons 39 people and commutes a sentence of 1,500. West Point, former House Speaker hospitalized. How to protect civil rights in schools. Again, Gateway, the Epoch Times. Nothing about the 557 pages about COVID. Look here. This is The Guardian. It's left-leaning. Left-leaning. Hit the like button. Hit the thumbs down, thumbs up, whatever. People, if you don't mind, those who are watching, the live chat's still going. Real Ed Reno's been on there giving a hell when we say thank you for that. Here, look, another, The Guardian. Nothing about the COVID cover-up, the lies. Nothing. Anxious scientists brace for Trump's climate denialism. Mayorkas says no to known foreign involvement in the drones. They really want you to know what's going on with drones, huh? Russians' tankers sink in the Black Sea. Israel launches dozens of airstrikes. South Korea president, French police. A huge regression. Walmart's DEI rollback. Former baseball nut. Senior UK minister admits. Race, rage, and good looks. All eyes on Prince Andrew. Celebrating the unknown Syrian. Saturday Night Live. LA Tree enthusiasts. Now Notre Dame. Uncertainty is part of being human. Bullshit. Nothing. Man City. 1-2 Man United. Southampton versus... come on. How about the Hill? Let's go to the Hill. Right here. Where is the COVID 557 page report? Biden boasts U.S. global leadership. RFK seeks to win over Senate GOP skeptics. Democratic recalibrates the resistance to Trump. This is the Hill. It's far left leaning. More than 120 House Democrats sent a letter to Biden urging him to ratify equal rights amendments. 5 Senate Republicans who could face primaries in 26. Trump leans on extended family for key White House. Romney, you can't complain if Trump does what he says. Pollster sells or defends herself against critics. Trump wants to end daylight saving times. Nowhere. Graham on politicization of the FBI. Nowhere is there anything about the cover-up of COVID. The 557 pages. This is the Hill. And I got one more. Political. Here we go. Political. Let's read. Look here. Headset DOD comes with a battle against public school education. Congress grapples over Christmas catch-all deals. Christmas. I haven't changed even if Washington has, Mitt Romney says. Foreign hackers need to face real consequences. Catholics in Trump's administration could take the GOP. Conservatives fall in line behind Mike Johnson. Johnson faces brewing GOP rebellion in the farm aid deal collapse. House Foreign Affairs Dems bipartisan is dead. China on steroids. You should worry about Kash Patel running the FBI. And so much other bullshit. But nowhere, Chris Wray's resignation, nowhere is the 557-page report on how they covered up the lie of COVID. Trump picks on Devin Nunes to lead Intelligence Advisory Board. Bill White ambassador. Director Wray resigns. Judge orders Trump to sit for in-person deposition in libel lawsuit filed against ABC. They gave because they didn't want that. They paid the $15 million. Man, Republicans filled coveted opening on Ways and Means. Biden granted clemency, kids for cash. I mean, where is it, guys? Where is it? I'll go one step further. And I know it's been a little bit. I know it's been a little bit. Well, what happened? What happened here? It says my YouTube stopped. We'll see what happened. It's back up. Okay. It's back up. So, all of that. Now, watch this right here. We have X. X claims we are the news. Right? Are we? Look, Nick Saban, Sarah Adams, Sean Ryan, Rambo. Look here. Burning Bright, Dan Scavino. Mel Gibson, Epstein Diddy client list. Jesse Waters. They're talking about the chick that made up everything when it came to the Duke players. My dude, Tim Burchett. He's not talking about the COVID. Biden, not talking about COVID. Here, let's go to my bookmarks here. Look, Burning Bright. Talk about the DOG and Chris Paul. Jesse Waters on Joe Biden pardoned his son. Saturday Night Live and Donald J. Trump. Joe Rogan. I'll tell you what. We'll watch this Joe Rogan thing here real quick, and then I'll end the show because I think I've made my point. No one's talking about this COVID thing. No one. You know what else they're not talking about? They're not talking about the election. Remember how Trump won in a landslide? Well, did he? They slowly but surely stole some of the Senate, stole some of the House. Makes no sense to me. I don't understand that, right? Whatsoever. The crap's happening here. My YouTube. I don't know what it's trying to do. All right. We'll go Joe Rogan real quick.
Paul Harvey, you know who that is?
Sure.
So he did a thing, God, back in the 60s or 70s, and he equated it to the devil. But he did a radio piece on how to destroy America, the social fabric of it.
Wow.
And it's as though somebody just took America, the social fabric of America from the late 60s to today. And the timeline of the things that he said. It's pretty wicked. It's pretty
Wow.
powerful.
Paul Harvey.
If I were the Prince of Darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. Wow. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Wow. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door.
Holy shit.
Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing.
What year was that?
It was 65, but...
Holy shit.
1965.
That's amazing. 65. Wow. April 3rd, 1965. Paul Harvey nailed it.
Paul Harvey nailed it. And Joe Rogan played that. from 1965. 1965. I know it doesn't have anything to do with the COVID discussion, but it has a lot to do with what's going on in the country at the moment. That man was very good at what he did. So, we've got Gateway Pundit, Epoch Times, Guardian, The Hill, Political, Associated Press, WAPO, New York Times, all of them. No one's talking COVID. Not a single one. You know what else? What about this right here? What about this right here? The 24 election, right? This article says why President Trump's 24 election was a landslide victory by Jim Hoft and a guest post by Anthony Constantino. And he goes into this elaborate thing about how Trump won in a landslide. He won a historic landslide election victory on November 5th for the benefit of all Americans. He won the presidency. He won the popular vote. He won all swing states. He won every previously won county and then some. Won the most votes of any Republican president. Won the majority of a governorship. Won the Senate. And then Trump won the House. And where? Watch. It wasn't a landslide. They stole this because it was never real to begin with, right? So, if we go over here to presidential results, let's look at it real quick. It pops up this right here. Trump 312 to 226. Is that a landslide? We'll go back. How about this right here? Senate results. 53 to 47. Again, not a landslide. House results. This one should shock you. It says 220, but it's 218 to 215. Everything from November 5th has, with exception to the electoral vote, has shrank. Trump does not have the landslide victory. I know people will immediately say Trump didn't win the Senate, Republicans did. Well, that's true, but everyone with a brain knows Republicans won because the President Trump's leadership, right? He's the co-founder and CEO of Sticker Mule. His Amsterdam, New York-based company employs 1,200 people. He made waves during the 24 election cycle after erecting the largest vote for Trump sign-in, America atop one of his factory buildings. And he is running for Congress in New York's 21st District, which is soon to be vacated by Elise Stefanik after she was nominated by Trump to serve as ambassador to the United Nations. He's sending free campaign stickers to anyone who signs up on his website, voteforanthony.com. It wasn't a landslide victory like we heard there in the very beginning. It's amazing what YouTube's doing to me over here. Do they not like the COVID talk? Anyway, when elections are real, when they're real, we'll have these issues. We will have issues like with pandemics like COVID. We will have fake issues like that. We will have a weaponized flu. We will have people trying to tell you what you can and can't do. And I would encourage you to download the PDF of the coronavirus. Right here it is. Just look it up. It is the final report of the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic. All you got to do is just put it together in your browser there, and it'll pull it up. And download that PDF and have it on your phone or your laptop or wherever you are, so that you can show it off. It's their information, ladies and gentlemen. It's not yours. And that information is what we are allowed to live in. And when they try to argue and you whip it out there, 118th Congress, their work. This is what they came up with. Oh, then what are they going to do? And then you'll run into the same shit that I've run into, which is if they didn't hear it on the news, doesn't matter about the PDF or the 118th Congress or the people that they help claim to believe that they voted in that helped with this select subcommittee. So it's crazy what happens here. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm going to play a 6-minute video of Trump, our champion, our commander-in-chief, our president, who they're going to try to do something. They're going to try to mess up his appointments, his nominees, his inauguration. I mean, it could go a number of different places. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So, but this particular video is amazing. Everyone should see it if you had. So guys, hit the like, because after the video, I'm going to go right to the exit of the show. Thank you. I hope it didn't lag. I hope it didn't buffer. I hope this worked the way that I needed it to work with the internet and all that. According to Ed, Real Ed Reno, things worked out pretty well. The backdrop, Tennessee. Oh, by the way, we're whooping Ohio State's ass. They should be coming to Neyland to play Tennessee. Our body of work and our schedule and everything about what we did collectively as a football program this year was far better than the little wimp asses up there in Ohio State at the Horseshoe. They got beat by Michigan 4 years in a row now, thank God. Hail Blue. Go Blue. But anyway, they're going to get their asses whooped. So, all right, we're going to go right to this. I hope you enjoyed it. I sure as hell did.
I've got an issue with you, and and when you gave me this opportunity, first of all, thank you for coming on the Gutfeld show. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
It's a good show.
And I actually owe you an apology before we start. I've been very critical about you, how you fight all through the campaigns. I voted for you because I like policy. Right. I didn't know you as a man. And I think when you don't understand what a man fights for, you can get lost, especially with all the noise we're seeing from fake news, et cetera, who created these pictures from you.
Nice.
So Gutfeld show's over. Cameras are off. We go backstage, and I expected you to be like every politician or anybody I've ever celebrity I've bodyguarded for, and you met my family, and you talked to my daughter. Mm-hmm. My daughter is 10 years old. Her name is Georgie. You guys talked for 20 minutes. If nobody knew, you could have been her grandfather, and you were talking about her horses and her dreams. And I was sitting there, and I was like, I have been so wrong about this man because I never understood why you fight the way you fight. You're a family man.
I am. Well,
You're a father.
And your daughter's a gorgeous, really, and your wife, the whole thing. I mean, you have got some setup, I'll tell you. But your family's great, and you're great, and you've really done something, and you've captured a certain spirit. You know, a friend of mine who's very smart, he's also a very big guy. He said, because I'm big and strong, people think I'm not the smartest guy.
Oh, I know.
Okay? You are a really smart guy. And I see it, and I've watched it, and I like the show. And we have the privilege of having had the highest rating in the history of the show when I did it a couple of weeks ago. That was his highest
Of all
rating.
time.
Of all time, yeah.
We beat network television.
You beat everybody.
And they were up 35 million homes,
right. Yes.
and it was a landslide.
Yep.
Now, you're putting it on me. I'm throwing it back to you, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Why do we not hear more about Donald Trump, the father, the grandfather, and I did a deep dive. There are some things you have done that when they say those horrible things like he's Hitler, he's a racist, did they not forget in 1991 what you did with Nelson Mandela? Yeah. Would you care to share that? Because I would love to hear that.
I never talk about it.
No, you do not. And I know why, because you're a man.
Yeah. I mean, I just have great relationships with a lot of people. People say that, you know, a little bit like you do. I don't think it's a narrative the press likes. Maybe it's not even a narrative that I should have. We have to protect our country, and maybe we should let the other side. I don't even call them the enemy. I think we have more of an enemy from within than we do from outside. You know, if you have a smart president, they talk about China and Russia and everything else. If you have a smart president, they're not going to be the problem. We have a bigger problem from within, and they hate it. I noticed today they were saying, he said the enemy from within. Of course, it's Adam Schiff. These are bad people. These are sick people and bad people, and it's true. But I think it's a narrative that they don't like, frankly. I think the fake news, a term I think I came up with. I'm very proud.
Oh, you did. You coined it.
It's not
you
tough.
should probably trademark it, but you know, I'm not going to.
Yeah, I should try.
I'm not going to give you business tips.
But you know, it's funny because it's a great term, but it's actually not strong enough because it's beyond fake. It's really bad.
Nelson Mandela and 80 of his constituents were trying to come to the United States.
Yeah.
The United States government wasn't helping him. No one was helping him. You chartered a 727 plane for their entire trip.
Yeah.
How is somebody, and that's crazy because you can talk about anything, and why is it hard for you to talk about the things you've done? It runs in your family. Your father helped build a synagogue. I mean, why do we not know those things?
It's something that I've never. I love doing it. I don't need praise for it. I don't. We all like a certain level of praise, but I've never. I just like helping people. I help a lot of people, and I enjoy doing it, and I never talk about it. It's nice that you bring it up. I also think it's not a narrative that the press likes talking about, for me.
But I think it would help a lot of the American people who have been misled, I myself included. Now, listen, I'm voting for you now because of the man you are, not just because of the policies, because not every American will get the opportunity that I had to saw who you were backstage. And that's why I have this list. I mean, I have testimonials. We can't go through all because
I want to see them.
Now, this was I had to dig deep.
I like that.
You donated $100,000 to raise dogs. You're not even a dog guy. Yeah. Explain that.
Well, that's Lara. So I have a wonderful, the wife of Eric, and she's a terrific person. You know, she's actually now a very big and important person in getting elected in the Republican Party. She comes from North Carolina. She loves the dogs. And I did that in her honor, actually. And, you know, if you listen to her, boy, dogs are treated very badly. They're, you know, some evil people having to do even with dogs. So I did that for my daughter-in-law, yeah, more so than me. I don't know that much about dogs, but I want to take care of them. And I had an opportunity. You know, as president, you can do a lot of things. I did a lot. The size of the kennels, the size of the cage, you know, there's like cages that they're in. And it's terrible. It's like you have no room, no nothing. And she came in with a whole group of people. These are people that really fight hard for dogs. I mean, you have people that fight. And she's a good person, so I did it for her.
I have hundreds of employees who have said things like, you've paid medical bills, you paid mortgages, rents, you've helped get family members. There's one story in here where a brother came in with a business plan, nobody would hear him. You gave him 10 minutes, you shook his hand, and you cut him a check. Yeah. Why is it so hard for you and even your team? I'm a little upset. These are things that I think the American people need to know. And I get it, you're humble because you're a father first,
yeah,
and a grandfather. And that's something, again, one thing we need in this country is we need a father figure again. We need husbands and boyfriends and young men we need to see that fathers are capable of great things, because we've dealt with it, especially in the last 3.5 years, a complete dismemberment of what it is to be a man. We're under attack for everything.
We are. Well, actually, manhood is under attack. I see things that are so beautiful, and the next day I see they're knocking the hell out of somebody for doing something that a day before I said, what a wonderful thing. Now we have to get back a little bit more. You know, the other thing under attack is religion. Religion was like the glue that kept this country together, and so many people are mocking it now. They mock it, and it just kept our country together. But it's absolutely under attack, and under attack by this administration.
Caught Up is an echo chamber for content creators. Almost all content on this show, Caught Up, is created by citizen journalists. I share content created by citizen journalists whom I believe to be the best at finding facts buried deep into the abyss, or outlets whom I believe to be the best for verifiable information. We have to operate within their system, and we only have the information they allow us to have. These individuals who nerd out on fact-finding missions and then add their opinion to better inform me, to make the best choice for me, in this war of narratives is Resolute. This information war is a battle for your mind and ultimately compliance. Mainstream media would have you believe that an echo chamber promotes the spread of misleading information or fake news, thereby reinforcing one's confirmation bias. So, I am excited to share the content in hopes you will turn off mainstream media, whom I believe is just another version of entertainment. So again, welcome to Caught Up.
My heart pumping all day long, getting me to morning when darkness comes. My heart, ooh. It takes so long to mend. It's harder to lean on this shell of a man. You found love in the Lord, your family and your friends. Could you please pray for me that I can find the same?